Beautiful. Anyone else like a photo? Oh, well, we'll have to take a group one later. Good evening, everyone. How are all of you? Good. Well, my name is Jeanette Wilson Travelut, and I was a well-known photographer as well as an avid member of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. Why are you all so quiet? Has someone been talking about me?
Don't have a clue.
Was it that old scoundrel Abraham?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Has he been warning you against me? And he probably has encouraged your consumption of that devil alcohol, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I see you over there. Oh, now I will be watching you. That's right. You might want to hide that. Now, let's not focus on Abraham or his wicked ways, or some of yours. I watch it. But I would like to start by going back in time, telling you a little bit about my love for photography. Let's see, I was lucky enough to be born in 1871, which was a wonderful time for the evolution in the field. And in my 20s, I studied with two of the most renowned photographers in Atlanta. And then in 1901, I opened my first studio called the Photo Gallery. And it was based in Bainbridge, Georgia. Now you have to remember that photography back then, well, it was a complicated process. It involved highly toxic chemicals, and it really required a professional. My subjects had to stand perfectly still, right? Or any small movement could absolutely ruin the photo. But as soon as I started my own studio, the photography evolution started to become much, much safer. And because of that, there was a boom in the industry. And every family wanted to celebrate or commemorate that very special moment. And lucky for me, portraiture was my specialty. Bridal photos. Bridal photos? Maybe not with that drinking. Bridal photos were a must for every young woman. And children's portraits, well, they were very popular as well. I did. I loved my work, and you might say today that it empowered me. It made me believe that women could and should hold a more powerful position in society. Do you not agree?
Yeah.
Yes. And my activism in this area was connected to my faith, and that is how I was deeply involved in the Women's Christian Temperance Union, also known as the WCTU. Now, you might say that our goal was to drive out the demon alcohol. I do. I see some of you being very sheepish right now. And I hope you know that I'm fully aware that I understand that you have imbibed and are probably currently, I see you, young lady, indulging at this very moment. But you can rest assured that I am not here to preach, I am just here to teach. You see, the WCTU was viewed as a bunch of cranky old women, and I know that we were thought of as being a buzzkill. I know, I just learned that term. But we at the Temperance Union were also known, or I should say our movement was also tied to women's rights. You see, thank you. You see that women back then were utterly dependent on their husbands for financial security. And a woman in my position, which was very successful, was highly uncommon. I had owned 2 studios before I met and married my husband in 1915, and I soon opened a 3rd. But for most women in the early 1900s, well, they were in a much more precarious position. A woman could lose everything if a week's earnings went to gambling and guess, liquor. Yes, and one man's stint in the drunk tank could topple an entire family. So you see, I wasn't just anti-drinking, I was pro-women and children. Now you see, temperance was often intertwined with suffrage and the women's right to vote too. So as our organization grew, the Women's Temperance Union, well, we became one of the largest women's organizations in the entire nation. In the entire nation. May I get an applause, please? Thank you. And I was proud to serve as secretary for Georgia for over 30 years. Yes, I was also happy to know that they had mentioned that in my obituary in the Atlanta Journal. Now, my final topic is my death and my afterlife here at Oakland. I arrived here in 1954, and I lived to a lovely young age of 83 years old. So, 1871 to 1954. Can you imagine what I saw? And if I had more time, I would show you all the photographs I took of this changing world. Because isn't it amazing how a photograph can freeze a moment in time, bearing witness to what was, yes? And, you know, time is a challenge too, and here at Oakland, preservation and restoration is a top priority. And as you might be able to see, I'm not sure you do, but there is my gravesite. It's right over there, the tall one. Traveloot, you'll have to go and look at it. But my gravesite and this area is called the Greenhouse Valley, and it will be part of the next renovation project here at Oakland. So if you don't mind passing around that bucket, please, for me, would you mind grabbing that for me? And we would appreciate any donations to this much needed cause. We would be honored. Now, of course, you do not have to donate, but we would love it if you did. Because the Oakland Foundation just wants to make sure that this remains a beautiful place for photography and for capturing those special moments, whether simple or significant. And also, Oakland is meant to be a place of joy and happiness, not only for the living, but along with those of us who have become part of its history.